Welcome to Unleashed. And don't forget to join us on Patreon for early access and exclusive content. Here are the guys.
Trick or treat, welcome to Unleashed. Today, I want to talk a little bit about a topic we've mentioned many times in the past, probably for 8 years straight now. We've had this topic on the show, but I want to do it a little bit more today and talk about one of my favorite Legends novels at the same time and incorporate the two.
I have spoken.
Star Wars is sci-fi fantasy. We know that to be true. That is what it is listed as. If you say it's science fiction, the science fiction fans get very mad at you. If you say it's fantasy, the fantasy fans get mad at you as well. But science fiction, fantasy, science fantasy, sure, why not? Combine the two and you have a joyous ride that we all love. I want to talk about the prospect of combining that with another genre, and that is horror. It is Halloween after all, so we've got to talk a little bit about horror and the scares that Star Wars can invoke within us. It could be a lot of fun, and it works so well within it. I mean, look at Alien, right? Alien, the movie, only exists because Ridley Scott went to go see Star Wars, and he was like, he was supposed to make like something else, I think Romeo and Juliet or whatever, and he was supposed to make something else, and he was like, wait a minute, I want to make Star Wars. And then they found the script for Alien, and it was whatever it was, and they made that movie, and it became a big, massive hit, obviously, and there's been probably more Alien movies than Star Wars movies at this point. So big franchise, all because of Star Wars, which is obviously exists because of other things, but it can exist within the horror genre. And one of my favorite Legends novels is Death Troopers. I've mentioned this a few times. When we used to do the books and comics segment on the podcast many, many moons ago, I would bring it up for Halloween. This was my Halloween read, and I still read it on Halloween. I absolutely love this book. I think it's a lot of fun, and I would highly recommend it to anybody out there that loves Star Wars, loves horror, and loves Halloween. It is a great Halloween read. The thing with this book, though, is it not only has my favorite characters of stormtroopers, obviously, but you're in this isolated ship floating through the galaxy, and then a virus breaks out. Setting the stage, a Star Wars horror. Right from the first chapter, Death Trooper grips you with a dread that feels so out of place in Star Wars, yet fits perfectly within its boundless galaxy. The novel transports us to the abandoned Imperial prison barge, Purge, a ship floating in deep space. With its engines broken down, here, we're not dealing with Jedi or Sith, rebels or stormtroopers. Instead, we're introduced to a handful of prisoners and guards. The perfect setup for a creepy, close-quarters tale where things quickly spiral into chaos.
Oh, they're asking me, can I be scary? What do you think of this?
On a routine repair mission to a derelict Star Destroyer, the crew discovers something terrifying, a sickness that brings the dead back to life. But unlike the mindless zombies of other horror stories, these reanimated stormtroopers are fast, brutal, and fueled by an insatiable hunger. This is no ordinary Star Wars threat. It's a viral outbreak that morphs the galaxy's iconic white armored troopers into merciless, undead killers. The infection spreads through the Purge, turning it from a high-security prison ship into a nightmarish battleground. Just when you think things couldn't get any more interesting, the novel throws in a twist. Two fan favorites, Han Solo and Chewbacca, are on board the Purge. The story doesn't just give us a gritty horror narrative, but lets us see how our beloved characters navigate through terror and survival. You can feel the tension as Han's usual swagger and confidence are tested against the pure horror lurking in the shadows. Death Troopers keeps you on the edge of your seat, flipping pages to see who makes it out alive. The survivors face claustrophobic corridors and dark, blood-smeared halls, filled with the growls and shuffling of undead troopers. The pacing is relentless, from the heart-pounding escapes to moments of near silence. Every part keeps you guessing. This isn't a story where anyone's safe. It's a chilling, adrenaline-fueled thrill ride, pushing Star Wars into a place fans rarely see. So, why do I love Star Wars Death Troopers so much? Because it brings a unique blend of horror to the Star Wars universe, an eerie tale that reminds us that even the Empire's soldiers aren't immune to fear and death. It's Star Wars like you've never seen it, raw, intense, and terrifying. For fans of both horror and Star Wars, Death Troopers offers a twisted, unforgettable journey that stays with you long after the final page. If you're ready for a Star Wars story where the dark side is more terrifying than you ever imagined, Death Troopers is your next read. This book isn't just about survival in the galaxy's fringes, it's about how far you'd go to escape the monsters clawing at your door. Or put it more accurately, blasting through it. Dive in if you dare and experience the Star Wars universe reimagined as Nightmare in Space. I think this can work. If you look especially at like Marvel, which of course I don't like comparing Marvel to Star Wars, and I don't think you should, but if you compare it to Marvel, which Disney is still going to try to do, obviously, because they've really knocked that out of the park. But if you compare it over there to the folks over at Marvel, they just did a special presentation a few years ago for Werewolf by Night, which does not fit in at all to any of the MCU stuff that we've gotten. I think Star Wars should do something very similar. They let Lego go off and do a holiday special and a Halloween special, but why not have a special presentation of Star Wars? I'm not saying include Han and Chewie, have all new characters, have it take place on a ship, and make a little horror movie. Don't go out of your way to make it gruesome and gory. It's still Star Wars after all. Look at the Wampa scene, the Rancor scene. Use scenes that already exist within Star Wars to fill your aesthetic. I think you could really make this work. I think a Star Wars horror, it is very feasible, could be very entertaining, and could be something that fans will be talking about for a long time, especially, like I said, when you compare it to Werewolf by Night. Don't do it in black and white. I love that aspect of Werewolf by Night, but this is Star Wars. It's still Star Wars. It's got to look like Star Wars, feel like Star Wars, but with that horror twist, which, like I said, with the Wampa scene especially, we've gotten these elements in the past. Luke in the cave and Dagobah. We've gotten aspects of horror taken into Star Wars as is. I think they can fully flesh it out, make it 45, 50 minutes, whatever you need to be. Don't worry about hitting 2 hours. Don't worry about a series, just one isolated story. Special presentation, so you don't have to worry about no Star Wars movies on Disney Plus. And you do that, and we would watch it. And I guarantee you, if it's bad, it's one thing. But if it's good, if it could be pulled off, which I believe it could be, this could be an annual event where all Star Wars fans would sit down, Halloween, Devil's Night, whatever, and watch Star Wars Halloween special presentation. It could be one of those shows where we come back to every year and we're like, this is what Star Wars fans watch every Halloween. Those are my thoughts. I don't know if you've read Death Troopers or not. Let me know in the comments down below. I love this book. I think it's a great book. Let me know your thoughts once again in the comments down below. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Have a happy and safe Halloween. And until next time, may the force of others be with you.
Sabine! Careful! Careful!
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.